live from Oredo, giving us updates on the reactions on the postponement of the 2019 election. Once again, we thank you for joining the Nigerian Decides studio of independent television and radio, x-raying issues coming forth on the postponement of the 2019 elections. And we have Prof on. Yes,
yes. The point you were raising bordered on this burning of some of these materials and all.
Yeah.
When we have been in programs and we're analyzing Nigerian situation, the fact remains there is a consensus that things that don't happen in other areas are just almost normal
here
in this environment. And I listened last night, for example, to a presentation somewhere where just like that it was announced that 66 Nigerians had been killed, not yesterday, not even on Thursday. The report said they were killed on Tuesday. And the news just comes like that. And we just take it as almost now normal in our environment. These are not normal. In the same vein, the areas where we've heard now that these burnings have taken place, in the case of Oka, we were told that it was a night guard, a drunken night guard, that set the place ablaze with all those kind of sensitive materials. And you have so many well-armed, battle-ready, DSS, all of that, and we go to take a house of one senator, for example, hold it down for days because we want to prosecute. But then we have all these kind of sensitive things going on in elections now. It should have been a case that rather than parading in other locations, all these areas should have been protected. But we just heard just same burning down of places and all. And even as we are speaking now, you raised issue today about those that are exposed. Take our youth corpus. Those areas where they have to go and camp. The pictures came on this morning on social media, where you just see them lying on the floor, vulnerable, both to the elements and to whoever wants to, handle these persons as it were. Things don't happen like that. And so when we say we feel pained that our country is going in that direction, I align myself to Chief, which is that really, the more we seem to be advancing in terms of educated people and the way we are supposed to be doing things, the worse we are getting.
Okay, we have Ferdinand Osakwe, Edo Central Bureau Chief, is joining us now live from Igwebe. Ferdinand, many thanks for joining us on Nigerian Decide Studio. Tell us the situation in Edo Central.
Thank you very much, Sonny.
Yeah.
Well, stakeholders in Edo Central across party divide have actually expressed disappointment over the decision of INEC to postpone in the election as well. You know, some of the supposed polling units that we visited were actually empty, although we were told that some eligible voters have earlier police centers early in the morning.
Okay.
So we're not aware that the election was postponed. Some other places that we also went to, feed were turned into a football field. You took advantage of it and started playing.
We're having a slight challenge with signal. I'm sure it's a network problem. Ferdinand, it's difficult to hear what you're saying now. Hello, Ferdinand. Well, we'll lost that call. We hope Ferdinand will be able to get back to us so we can conclude that conversation, the report from Igwebe in Edo Central Senatorial District. Well, unlike what we saw in Benin, the awareness went round swiftly, so many people stayed away. But it looks like as we move from Edo South through Central to the North, we'll probably see a situation where more people, came to the polling centers only to be told that the election has been postponed.
Let's hope that elections have not started in some areas. By way of summary,
yes,
I think what is obvious here, and it's even coming out from this postponement, is that it is also not acceptable that with so much investment and so much at stake, that we leave, it's like the most precious things to you, you just leave them without seeking to protect them. Right now, the sensitive materials, from what we were getting to know, in certain parts of the country, had already been released and deployed.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, we've got Ferdinand back joining us. Ferdinand, thanks for joining us again. So just summarize what the situation is in Edo Central.
Well, actually, stakeholders across Edo Central have actually expressed their disappointment over the decision of INEC to postpone the election, the eve of the election. Some of the respondents, actually expressed themselves. They were very much expressing shock at the last minute postponement. What actually bothers most of them for the huge investment that will be lost, because some of them said that they travel far and wide, to have come over for the election. We visited some polling units. We were told that some eligible voters came early enough to say I'm transferred. They were able to hear the news that they were postponed.
Yeah.
Some of the centers that were also visited, we found out that the youth are going to a sports center. Okay. As they engaged themselves in playing football.
Well, Ferdinand, listener, that's the much we can take from you. Not our fault, really, from the network, but it's okay. Hello, Ferdinand. All right. Thank you. Well, you'll be hearing more from Ferdinand later today at 7:30 on our main news on independent television. We'll move on now to conclude the points that you raised.
I was just saying that all that has been happening should not be
at all in the first place.
In the first place, that at this time there should have been greater security that should have been provided where all these materials are being deployed to. And now that even a great portion of it had already gone out in different parts of the country, deliberate, immediate effort must be made to retrieve these materials and they be properly secured. Otherwise, we are even going to face greater problems, because shortly you might start finding that materials are shot if they have been maybe misdirected in terms of where they are supposed to go back.
All right, so Prof, you want to...
I wish it's not deliberate, because there was one Senator Dino Milai went to shut out water, shut out everything. The whole artillery of police, they were all there and all that, going for one man, up to 50 of them. Then this is a more national duty, okay? Property of the nation, especially electoral materials, they are there. Are they telling me that even the materials were not just on Nigerian roads with the driver alone? Security followed this material to their final destinations. And at that final destination, INEC offices or banks or what have you, there were security men also stationed there. So how come all of a sudden there was fire? One madman came from nowhere. I think what these people did, they just gathered the old papers and set fire on the old papers, and the smoke was all over the whole place, and they said, oh, materials have got burned. Even the Kaduna case, 66 people, did we get the clip? Or maybe ITV got it, but I have not seen it. Did we get the clip of the people that were killed? We didn't see anything like that. They may have just raised a small screen and give the impression that, oh, there's problem, and therefore this election cannot hold. And perhaps that was the original arrangement where they said...
Oh, these are just insinuations that you're making.
Circumstantial evidence. Yes, circumstantial evidence.
You can conflict a man on circumstantial evidence.
Yes, yes. Because we didn't see... Okay, maybe you saw the clip. I never saw the clip of 66 people that were killed.
I didn't see it.
And all that. So it rhymes with what we are saying, that at the end of the day, they wanted to do this selective thing, and the thing did not work because Americans put their foot on ground. You can't do this. The election must be total.
I'm sure you also saw that America.
Yes, I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it.
Okay.
So you see, by the time this type of things start to happen, you start wondering with the traditional saying that when an owl should, shout in the night,
A child dies in the morning, you can correlate them.
Exactly.
But
Yes, sir.
yes.
Well, on the issue of these fire incidents, for some of us, we have been watching our political development. Politicians have always displayed desperation.
Exactly.
And I said just now that our leaders and our political class have always shown that they do not have feelings or sympathy for the country and for Nigerians. So, setting INEC office ablaze is just part of their political game, political agenda. To them, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. Don't forget, after the 2015 elections in Kano again, the resident electoral commissioner and his entire family were wiped out.
Oh, yes.
I hope we have not forgotten. And don't forget, there were also issues.
Okay, just a moment. We have a contributor from Zamfara State, Ahmed Abubakar. Ahmed, many thanks for joining us on the live studios of Independent Television and Radio. Tell us, what's the situation in Zamfara State?
Yeah, there were preparations yesterday. We were at INEC and we moved to the central bank to collect election materials. But while that was going on around between 5 and 6 in the evening, some thugs were caught at the motor park with guns, in fact. I was not there, so I cannot tell how many thugs were there or how many guns. But one or two of the bandits were said to have been killed at the motor park before policemen and came and captured them while the car that they were driving in was burnt at the motor park. Nobody has confirmed whether it has any link with the upcoming elections today or not. But that is what happened yesterday. This morning, with the announcement that the election has been postponed, people have been going about their normal businesses, and no issue was raised after those bandits were caught yesterday.
Okay, so today in Zamfara State, you can say authoritatively that there is peace everywhere. People are going about their normal duties.
I went around some parts of the state capital. I live in Gusau, the state capital.
Okay.
This morning, as we were getting ready, as a journalist, we were getting ready for the election because I already arranged that some of my colleagues will have to meet at the press center where we will take up. But before then, the announcement was made, so I still went out to see how the situation would be. Policemen were stationed at some of the strategic locations inside town. They were careless about how people were passing because the announcement had already reached them and normal businesses have taken up. And up to this moment that we are talking, things have normalized and there are no even security men going around town as we are talking.
There were a lot of concerns about Zamfara State, particularly in the areas where there have been violence. So you're saying that with what you saw, security-wise, the state was ready for the election?
The state was. In areas where there was violence, I can tell you that the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner addressed the press also 2 or 3 days ago. What she said about those areas is the areas where they felt that there are serious threats, they will move the electorate from those places and take them to a more secure environment where they will cast their vote. So those arrangements were already in place before the postponement. I don't know because I have not been there, so I cannot tell you authoritatively how those places were, because we hardly go to such areas because of the dangers involved.
Security reasons.
All right, Ahmed Abubakar is joining us live from Zamfara State. Many thanks for your time. We'll keep tabs with you in our subsequent presentation. Thank you. Well, one of our contributors from Zamfara State giving us situation report in that state on the postponement of the 2019 election. election. We're back to Barrister Eddie Asanong.
Yes,
You concluded
so as I was
point?
saying,
Yeah.
after the
The burning
2015
of-
election,
yes.
the resident electoral commissioner, there was, and his family, they were there.
Yeah.
We do not have any result, any investigation, any conviction as to the truth of what happened to that family till tomorrow.
Okay.
Now we are seeing fire incident. We are even happy, we are lucky that lives have not been lost in these fire incidents. And now, where are the areas that we are getting these incidents from? Where are the areas? Oka, Plateau. And what are the chances if elections were to hold in those areas? Now, for me, I believe that these materials now that have been wasted, that have been burnt, if we have the resources,
Or presumed to be born.
well, presumed to be burnt, if we have the resources as we have shown to deploy our security agencies for irrelevancies, how come we didn't make arrangements for security of where election materials are kept? It means that if they could be burnt, they could even have been stolen by anybody. So we must prioritize in this country. We must make all the, because INEC does not have any excuse whatsoever in terms of funds, in terms of, this is the 5th election we have to be doing since 1999.
Yeah.
So we ought to improve with every election, not to be hearing stories of logistics. It is annoying. Oh, materials have been burnt, vehicles are not moving, youth corpers are having problems, you have abandoned them. Now again, I want to say that the issue of America putting their feet on the ground, don't forget, somebody made a statement that they must not interfere. They shouldn't interfere. There was a lot of grandstanding. We are independent, we are sovereign. America and the Europe and whatever country, they should not come and interfere in our elections. What was the issue that was necessitating that kind of interference? We are beginning to see it. There was a plan from the beginning, because they didn't have what it takes to do election nationwide because of the kind of elections they have been doing when elections were taking place in individual states. So there was that challenge, and that was why the issue of staggered election has been on the burner, even though it was not made known to Nigerians. And that was why they said, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And somebody said, they must not interfere. And they insisted that even if you say we will interfere in this matter, and on seeing that, oh, these people are not backing out, we have to postpone. So for me, it's unfortunate, it is sad, but I agree that in every bad situation, there is the best way to handle it. Now the elections have been postponed.
Yeah.
In spite of all the losses, in spite of all the cost, let us wait and see what happens next Saturday.
All right.
If things now go well, we can say, well, thank God it
was actually a blessing in disguise.
But if by next Saturday, we are still seeing hiccups, we are seeing hitches, we are still suffering this kind of logistic issues, then I think...
well, on the concluding side of our discussion earlier today, I asked the question, what next?
Yeah.
Will the electorate be as enthusiastic as they were today? Will the logistics, like you talked about, be available? Will the umpire be up and doing, making sure that logistics are available? Some questions we would like to answer in a moment, but we have another live contributor. This time we have Muhammad Maman from Yobe State. As a journalist, Muhammad, thank you for joining us on ITV Radio Benin.
It's my pleasure.
What's the situation in Yobe right now following the postponement of the election?
Well, like every other state, people were disappointed because people were prepared and everybody was ready for the election, except for the sudden cancellation or postponement. Though the reasons advanced by ANEC, people believe that this is a mistake that had been recurring since 2011, 2015, which ought to have been rectified by now. But unfortunately, nothing done. But it is a kind of necessary evil. I think people have taken it in good faith and they are prepared for the next date of the election. Meanwhile, everybody is doing his normal business, and all is well.
What have you got to tell us about the situation in Yobe State against background that has been a hotbed for the Boko Haram insurgents? Recently, we heard of an attack on the convoy of the state governor.
Well, I think you are mixing it up with Borno State.
That was
Borno State
okay.
is the hotbed of the Boko Haram. And it was the convoy of the Borno State governor.
You're right. You're right. But
here in Yobe,
yes,
there's been no report of security challenge of late.
Okay.
And as you can see, there wasn't any security challenge attributed to the postponement of the election.
Okay.
So there is no security challenge. The soldiers, the army, the police, civil defense, they have deployed the people almost everywhere. And yes, all is well with regard to security.
Okay. Let me say special thanks to you, Muhammad Maman, journalist from Yobe State, being part of our live studio this morning. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
All right. Okay, Muhammad joined us live from Yobe State, giving us an update as well on the reactions trailing the postponement. Well, it was in Borno State that we had the governor's convoy actually attacked by suspected militants. We apologize for that mix-up. Now, we're just on the verge of concluding this discussion. When did we stop last time? Was it?
No,
I just concluded on the issue of...
okay.
You were now asking about the way forward.
What next? What next? Yes, I said I was going to ask that question on what next. But I also wanted us to look at something about the role the social media has played in the narratives about this election. What's our assessment of it? Let me start with you, Prof.
Okay, thank you.
Just a moment.
No, I can concede to you. No, let him know. I can concede to him.
Let me come to you.
Okay. The point here is that we have to really be careful the way and the new role that the social media is playing in our lives. It is something that has come with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Certainly.
And therefore, it has its positive sides and the negative. I am more, even as I was reading this morning, that 1:30, all of that, postponement, no postponement, and all, I was waiting for when there will be this chairman of INEC addressing the nation, and we now know exactly where we stand. Because the way it's operating is that something you will just read and you will think that is the most authentic. You will discover that it's just somebody that has contrived something that he has just posted it out there. I give you the one that happened with the mode of voting, which that for quite some time, about last week, it's like, why did INEC delay giving this information about the finger you are going to use in voting? All over the place. So it was not a case. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, just a moment, Prof. We'll be back to you. We have Buhara Dara, NUJ chairman in Katsina State. Buhara, thank you for joining us on our live studio.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
I'm good. What's the situation in Katsina State? That's the president's state. Yeah, what's the situation there?
Yes, actually, it's just a very sad news. People are disappointed. We are ready to cast our vote, but unfortunately, this sad news has just been announced that this election has been postponed to next week.
From those that you spoke to, you said they are disappointed. What was their mindset towards the rescheduled election in terms of being participants next week Saturday?
Actually, people are coming out to vote because this is their right. They are coming out to vote, despite the fact that they are disappointed this time around. But yet they are ready to come out next week to vote.
INEC gave the reason for the postponement. Personally, as a journalist, are you satisfied with the reasons advanced by INEC?
Actually, I'm not satisfied. Because here in Kaduna State, we have seen the open date of our INEC official here. They have disbursed and distributed election materials. They have completed everything. So I see no reason INEC from the center will decide this thing. Because in Kaduna State, actually, we don't have any problem as far as this INEC material is concerned. We have completed all arrangement.
So what are your expectations on the election rescheduled for next week Saturday?
Grateful that they
Yes, like what I told you, I know our people are ready. They are anxious next week for the next week general election. So I know they are willing to come out and vote.
All right, Buhara Dawa, thank you for joining us all the way from Katsina State.
Okay, you are welcome.
Buhara Dawa is the NUG chairman, Katsina State, joining us live from that state to give us an update and the situation on the reactions trailing the postponement of the 2019 election by a week by INEC. Prof, just quickly,
yes,
got a point.
I was just talking about the fact that we have to be careful about the role that the social media is playing. It's being used for mobilization, it's being used for information dissemination and all of that. But at the same time, we know that it could be manipulated negatively. That could generate. That is why there has been this call for greater monitoring, and then people must be circumspect anytime information is being put out there now in the social media. Because like I was saying, we are being told now that you could only vote with the then I started knowing that this is what they call the warning finger. We used to hear about index finger and all that, and so many things that were on. And eventually we were being told that no, nothing like that ever took place. And earlier on, you know, when the computers came on, photo shooting and all of those things are happening. So even when I was just whispering to my colleague, Professor Ejewere, I said about the INEC chairman wearing a cap of a party. I said, could that man be crazy? Maybe it's real, I don't know. But then all those things now, we saw it at a time. You can be placed, you are not in, we are trying to do a photograph for a burial program and all. A child was not around. And it was like, give us any of the child's picture. And they will put it there. And you have the complete thing. So if we are not careful, you get what I'm saying? People carry videotapes from things that happened in 19-something. They just put it out there as if it's happening right now.
All right, we have Alassane Bala, ITV Abuja correspondent, live from our Abuja studio, giving us an update. Alassane, many thanks for joining this live coverage of the postponed election. Yes, that's the way we'll put it now. How is Abuja today?
Thank you very much. Abuja is very calm. In fact, the streets are very quiet. The vehicle and is very few. That's how Abuja it is. But mostly the tension between stakeholders is rising.
Tension between stakeholders is still rising. Is it on the postponement or on what?
Yes, basically it was because of the postponement. Yesterday, since from around 10-11 when the news started trending that the election may likely be postponed, with journalists actually rushed to the INEC, although we were about to enter the INEC headquarters, that very place, even observers, both local and international foreign observers were also present at the office of INEC to just monitor the thing. So after INEC chairman briefed to us, then this morning, civil society situation room, which is basically a place for most of the domestic and as well as foreign observers, they briefed and they expressed their anger as well as disappointment over the postponement. Despite the fact that a situation room or the civil society organization were on the forefront of commending INEC for the preparation of this election, and they were optimistic before now that the election will hold and it will be free, fair, and credible, and there will not be any issue of postponement. And if we could record a statement by INEC chairman recently, which I did the report, that he said there is no any plan of postponing the election. And this coming of the statement or this postponement, what really went wrong that's the question the civil society now is also asking. They are asking the INEC to give them explanation. And also, when we look at the issue of the cost of election, now INEC has spent a lot of money, huge amount of money, and now by postponing the election, we actually know that definitely they will not spend. They will spend actually half or even almost the amount they spent before. Because postponing our election, that means everything will be stopped.
Okay.
And the civil society also asked the issue of already deployed sensitive material, and it is a question to be asked by Nigerians. Because basically we saw what happened in some states where INEC offices were burned, card readers were burned, PVCs were burned, and now the sensitive materials are still there in INEC offices across the country. So how assure the security of those materials? How can INEC manage the credibility and the integrity of that material to ensure that it not actually raise any concern by Nigerians on the credibility of that election? So those are the things which the civil society are asking. There is also the issue of the core members involved in this election. A lot of them were posted to where they are all to be doing their duties as electoral office, ad hoc officers. But now, with the postponement, what will really happen to them? Will INEC pay them their money first before next week? Or what will happen?
Okay, so I think this is just a barrage of questions that are begging for answers, Alassane.
Yes, of course. Those are the questions that, that basically not only the civil society organizations, but rather a lot of activists here in Abuja that actually came to our studio are raising that question. But since INEC is going to meet stakeholders in about an hour or two,
2 o'clock.
so we are sure that a lot of things will come. And from the press statement released by the President Muhammadu Buhari, it shows that he may likely be at the meeting, which if he actually attends the meeting.
Okay, Alassane, I want to thank you for...
He will take.
All right, Alassane Bala, I want to thank you for joining us live and giving us that update from the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. We'll keep tabs with you to get more updates.
Yeah, we are expecting a lot of things because even the People's Democratic Party, PDP, despite the press statement, they are likely going to brief the press by around 1 p.m. here in Abuja.
Right.
So a lot of things will be, and even the APC, they are going to brief, but not in Abuja. So there are a lot of things, a lot of reactions from different stakeholders.
Okay.
But there are a lot of questions pertaining the issue of international observers who travel to Nigeria, and they are planning to leave to go back to their respective countries in 3 or 4 or even 1 week.
I
happened to speak with one of a journalist that came from UK. He said that the plan, his flight return ticket is on the next week.
Okay, Alassane, we'll just we'll pass you here and keep tabs with you to get more. Thank you so much, Alassane. Alassane Bala is ITV radio correspondent in Abuja, giving us an update on what the situation is there as far as the reactions trailing the postponement of the 2019 election is concerned. Let me come to Barrister Ibe Thomas. We're looking at social media and its role in midwifing this electoral process, particularly against the background of the things that are coming forth from the social media. You want to quickly add some voice to that?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the social media has been doing their best. I feel there has been more positive contributions than negative contributions. I got my hints about the postponement of the election from the social media. And I think they have been responsible to a large extent. They've been doing well, and I encourage them to continue. But my major concern now is that if the ruling party has had all the opportunity all these days to continue to do what they want to do with all the desperation to remain in power, this 1 week, who knows what they are planning now? With all the sensitive materials being outside.
Not secure.
And I don't see the possibility of INEC recovering them. So result sheets might just be filled to be announced next Saturday. So the credibility of the election next Saturday, I doubt to a large extent.
Okay. I think that, you were really asking for mine on that.
Yeah.
I think what is coming out now is that is the vigilance of the political parties and the participants that is leading to all of the things that are coming out
now. Okay.
And it's calling for greater vigilance.
Okay.
We find that in Edo State, for example, when issues were being raised about these sensitive materials, they said no movement. You can't continue until those things are seen.
Yeah.
And it is obvious now that our concerns are even not just national, but global, which is that this thing that has happened now, we are calling on INEC, and I believe it's common all over, that those materials that have gone out should be retrieved. And of course, when you say you are retrieving, you must check what went out first.
And what do
you now have?
Okay.
And so it's also now calling on the participants in the election to watch out closely to be sure that these materials have been retrieved and protected before the elections go on. Okay. And I will also join my voice to say that those Nigerians that were engaged for this election, even the bus drivers they were talking about today, there should be liability about them. You don't just stop somebody, you carry the person for 2 days, and then you don't meet your part of the contract or the obligation, and you just say walk away. You can't take coppers, youth coppers and all, send them to different local government areas or areas, they go and sleep there for the whole night, and you just say, sorry, next time we have to do. It is part of the cost. Not to not talk of the individual ones that we are all going to bear, which unfortunately we are not going to be able to sue anybody for and all of it. Because now that it has distorted, like I said earlier, it has distorted so many things for Nigerians.
Okay, we're just on the verge of calling it a wrap. Prof, final word from you, Ijewere.
Well, before that, I would say the beauty of social media, where there's this freedom of information, and Nigerians don't have opportunity to enjoy this freedom of information. So they only voice the agitation through the social media. Well, I think INEC will have no excuse. We don't want to believe that INEC will have excuse next Saturday, and they should know that sensitive materials that are already going to do everything to secure them so that the election will be credible, because they should remember that the world is watching, not just the international community in terms of election observers. So they should do everything to, if they don't want to protect their image, they should protect the image of Nigeria.
Okay. Basade,
first, for me, I want to say that on the issue of recovering of sensitive election materials, for me, I want to make a different call. Okay. I can almost say for sure that it will be, okay.
Okay, we have a broadcaster, Solomon Adoga from Kogi State, joining us live in our live studio. Solomon, many thanks for joining ITV Radio live studio on Nigeria Decides. What's the situation on the postponement of the 2019 elections in Kogi State?
I want to say thank you for having me.
Okay.
A pleasure. Actually, we are also out in Lokoja town today, this morning, to sample the opinion of the people how they felt about sport. They were disappointed because, number one, some of them didn't hear the news on time. So they went out on getting to the polling unit and they were disappointed, blaming the whole thing on either the government or the INEC officials, like counting on their failures already. But we just feel that is their opinion. Yeah. So we take it like that, and then we went back to Domain also, where another polling unit, there are no people over there. they were already aware. Some of the INEC, nobody even showed up at the polling unit. So they were all like, all of them, every the electorates were aware earlier.
Of the postponement?
And some were not aware.
Yeah, social media.
Okay. Were in the polling unit and they get in they went back home.
So General,
disappointing.
The state is peaceful, right?
Yes, the state is peaceful. Lokoja's capital is peaceful.
All right, I want to say big thanks to you, Solomon Adoga from Kogi State. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we're just on the verge of calling it a wrap on our live studios on the 2019 election. Well, postponed the election now. We have the...
as I was saying, I said, for me, my call will be different.
Okay.
I can say for sure, almost for sure, that recovering those sensitive materials that have gone out is almost impossible.
Those sensitive materials, I thought that they're supposed to be with INEC officials,
exactly.
not individuals.
No, INEC officials, but I am saying that getting them back is almost impossible. These INEC officials, most of them are ad hoc. You do not know their political leanings. You do not know the level of their compromise. You do not know the people they are reporting to. So these materials may have gone out. Mere samples of them going out, they can be duplicated. So for me, I think the only way it can now be credible is for INEC to reproduce fresh and different materials, particularly the result sheets.
Within 1 week.
And that is why I do not want to come to the conclusion that the postponement for just 1 week, if there was going to be postponement, was not hasty. I want to believe that they have taken all of these into considerations. They have done their collation of information across the country, because most of the areas we are getting now that these sensitive materials have gone out, result sheets had gone out, everything had gone out. So I want to believe that they collected all of this together
and analyzed them,
and came to the conclusion that they can put themselves together again within the period of 1 week. Otherwise, we are heading for bigger problem next Saturday.
All right, thank you, Thomas. Last one from me. I'll come back to you.
For me, I wish Nigerians good luck.
Okay.
Yes. For me, it is that it is not yet over.
All right.
It is something that we must eventually do. No matter these hiccups that have come up with these plans for these elections, we have no other option. It is that we must do everything necessary. We must do everything necessary, to make sure that we have our elections still held, which are still free, fair, and credible. I believe that Nigerians are mobilized enough, sensitized enough to participate effectively in the elections that are forthcoming as far as our country is concerned. I don't want to believe that because of this hiccup that, it is all lost as far as our elections are concerned. One other thing that is going to happen now is that, technically speaking, all campaigns have stopped about some Thursday,
12 midnight.
Unfortunately, it's going to be new campaigns that will start again until about maybe Thursday next week. So, and for some politicians who had exhausted their war chest in terms of campaign funds, who were like, let us now just go and see these elections play. Some are even tired. It's like, go and dust your materials again and go back to the field. I am calling on Nigerians and spend more money. I'm calling on Nigerians.
Opposition members, candidates who don't have money, who don't have where to go and touch, they are the losers.
Yes. So my call is that Nigerians that were ready to go and vote today should be getting ready again to exercise the franchise when it comes next week, Saturday, which is the next day that has been set for these elections. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I just thought that it was time for us to call it a wrap, but I still have a couple of minutes to spare on this postponement of the 2019 elections by the Independent National Electoral Commission. Just to remind you that we have two major events on the election that we are following right now. By 2 p.m., we're hoping that we'll be able to bring you the stakeholders meeting, if the press is going to be allowed access to that meeting, as at 2 o'clock by INEC. And then we heard Alassane Bala telling us a while ago that the major opposition party, PDP, will also be having a press briefing on that one. The same goes for the ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, but he said he's not sure that press briefing will be in Abuja because, like we already know, the main stakeholders would have gone to their respective states to monitor the election and to participate in the election. But one thing that has come out, very strongly, which is something Professor Eddie Aragbe alluded to a while ago, is that the whole process is going to start all over again because campaigns will now continue and more monies will be spent. If you don't have the money or you don't have more money to spend, that's a great disadvantage. But if you have access to more money to spend, such a big advantage. But how will all of these end up? That's the big question. But I think that we are Nigerians. This is the only country we've got. And even if you have multiple citizenship, you can't take away the fact that this is the only country that you have. And it's our responsibility to see that we work together to ensure the good of this country. I mean, like we know, in everything, there's always the good, the bad. Well, Prof added another one today, the ugly. Let's work and strive to ensure that we bring good to this land. And how we can achieve that, particularly with this election, is for us to see this as a national challenge, like Mr. President said a while ago in his press release, and then forge a united front to confront it so that at the end of the day, the country will be best for it, the people will be best for it, and then we can move forward and get to where we ought to be. We may not be at par with other countries that will probably gain independence at the same time, but we can be in a direction that will give hope and pride to everyone. Gentlemen, the onus is on INEC to deliver next Saturday. So let's set agenda for INEC. Well, all that has happened, we're gradually putting it behind us if we have not already put it behind us. But let's set agenda for INEC ahead of next Saturday's election, which is now the new date for the election, and then 9th of March for the governorship and State House of Assembly election, as well as the Abuja Municipal Area Council election. Let me start with Chief A.P. Thomas in this direction. Chief, agenda setting for INEC ahead of the rescheduled dates for the elections.
Well, those who constitute INEC should go and redeem their image. Redeem your image and integrity by ensuring that the elections will be free, fair, and transparent.
All right, Prof.
Yes. I think that, like we have tried to point out here, the failure of this entire process, as it turned out now, rests squarely on the shoulders of INEC. The chairman, maybe after the meeting of 2 o'clock, will further explain what their challenges, the logistics and things they talked about really were. But one would have thought that having had elections in this country for this period, and of course the claims that were being made about the elections that were held in Anambra, the elections that were held in Osun, Ekiti and all, and they were using that to say, look, we have gotten it right, and we are even going to do better. It is actually a great shock to us that these things are happening that have now stated as claimed this postponement. So it is clear that if you said it's because you could not deliver your materials early enough, that is the major reason. You must therefore now do everything necessary to make sure that these things are dispatched with alacrity, and then of course the security is provided, not just at the point of dispatching these things, not just at the point of moving them, but eventually when they get to the locations where they are supposed to be. It is also necessary for INEC at this time to go on confidence building as far as our country is concerned, to reassure by their statements and their actions that they are actually fully committed to delivering to Nigerians a free, fair, credible, and of course, bearing the words of great lawyer here, transparent for everybody to see in the conduct of the elections that are ahead. They owe it as a responsibility, as I have said, to address those persons that they had engaged for this day that have moved. Because there are those that I was still with some of my colleagues yesterday who were going to participate in the election. They said they are waiting for further directives. Things have not happened with some of them. But there were those who, by the very nature of the responsibility that were entrusted to them, had to leave their locations
to move to
different areas, had to locate, that is to stay in those places and wait for further directives. Such people that have expended their resources and all, there should be some of compensation that should be given to them. And number 3 or 4 is that there should be greater consciousness in terms of necessary security for INEC facilities and of course materials as well, so that, because in Anambra State reports were on already, a police station was attacked and all about this, some houses were burnt, or some politicians, that is even before this postponement, which was showing that the country was getting really volatile again. We know what was going on in Rivers State. I think this is one angle we have not even deliberated heavily on here. It is necessary and urgent for INEC to take resolute positions on Zamfara, on the case of Rivers. Where in Rivers before yesterday it was still being said that the candidates of the APC, for example, that had been excluded must be included. Otherwise there will be no elections. And we were hearing one beat, that is drums, being beaten by the opposition, the governor and all. Which is that unless these matters are clearly resolved, we still have pending before us possible areas of conflict.
That the competent courts have taken decisions on this matter.
I've been following, for example, the Zamfara case, where allegedly there is the Attorney General wrote a letter. Then the son, our own Figi, that is the Ozekome. Ozekome has written positions to say whatever you are saying is wrong interpretation. And so that means that there are different positions there, and those matters, INEC has shown some form of being resolute to say that this is where we stand.
This is the position of the law.
But then if there are threats that are saying that you cannot take that stand, and if you don't change your position, elections will not take place in these areas, those kind of matters, I hope that this window of opportunity that has come now will be used to resolve it. And finally, I've been watching the report coming from Delta, which is that, again, when I was talking about the killing of 66, my brother friend was saying maybe it is contrived. But let us also take it that it's possible, the way Nigeria has been going, that those people were actually killed. And then to just say an essay to a governor, we don't know the circumstances. That's a commitment. And I was hoping, and I'm still hoping, that's not one of my former student leaders years ago who was with me in student union elections in those days. I hope it's not the one that is affected, but in any case, nobody should actually die because of it. For such things to happen, even before elections, it shows that we cannot take our security situation for granted. Because, like people have been pointing out, in Nigeria, the struggle for service is not so strongly motivated by sacrifice. It is more of looking for a ticket to have the greatest access to the state resources as it were. And people have invested so much that they are ready to go to extreme in order to realize their objective. That is why the security component must be taken seriously on the run that is getting ready for the elections.
Let me bring you in here now. Looking at the concluding side of this discussion, particularly as it relates to expectations from INEC count next Saturday, against the background of what has happened. What are your thoughts?
Well, INEC should realize that's a national and international disgrace that cannot, after the promises, is failing. And more importantly, they should realize that it's a national project. It's not a project of APC or PDP or any other party for that matter. And if Nigeria must grow democratically, they must ensure that they play a major role in our democracy experience. And so it's not just the issue of one INEC or one party influencing INEC. It's an issue of a national project which INEC should play a real role to ensure that our democracy succeeds.
All right, Basta Adeasanogwa, in 2 minutes, let's call it a wrap.
Well, I think INEC should go back to the drawing board. In spite of all the assurances, it has become clear now that they were not ready, that deliberately or otherwise elections they didn't hold. That is the fact on the ground. they must also look at all the problem areas and likely problem areas. Elections must not only be free, fair, credible, but it must be seen by all to be so. That is very important.
Yeah.
Both domestic observers, international observers, the participants and electorates themselves, they must see. And INEC owes us that responsibility. Okay. And everything and anything that they have to do to ensure that that is done, they must put in place.
All right. Barrister A.B. Thomas.
Again, I will repeat, please, Nigerians, irrespective of what INEC has done or what anybody might be contrary with INEC, please go out and vote on Saturday. Come out en masse and vote. It becomes more difficult to rig if everybody comes out to vote. Don't be disappointed with INEC's position today. Let everybody come out and vote and be orderly.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Barrister Ede Asenogwa, we appreciate you. Professor Tony Jewry, thank you for your time. Erudite Professor Dear Agbe, we thank you. Global Professor, we appreciate you.
My pleasure being with you again. Thank you.
And Chief Barrister A.B. Thomas, we thank you. And to all our panelists earlier today, we also appreciate your commitment to our live studio discussion. And then to all our contributors from across the country, we thank you for the useful insights that you brought to bear on our discussions on Nigerian Decides 2019 election. Well, we're keeping tabs on the World Press Conference by the major opposition party, the PDP, and then hopefully later today at 2, there will be a stakeholders meeting convened by INEC. The president, in his press release today, also said he's leaving Dara to come to Abuja so he can be part of that stakeholders meeting. I'm sure before the end of the day or as we get along, we'll bring you updates on some of these events. I want to say big thanks to all our crew members for making the program a huge success. My name is Sonny Duke Okosun. Thank you for staying with us. Do have a great day.